Hey, yay, hey, yay. We are all gathered here to discuss the Mexican monster. You need to hear this. This is really somebody's mistake, and it ain't David Benavidez. The conversation has now come up, and I've been forced to talk about this. I didn't want to have to do this, but y'all made me. David Benavidez versus Jai Opetaia at cruiserweight. Whoop-diddy-doo. So now this came across the desk. Your boy Ego will uncover, unearth, and unpack this topic. Benavidez, Jai Opetaia, do I like it? Do I hate it? What's the holdups? All of that will be covered in this video. It's time. Let's get unpacked. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxingego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I didn't even know if I was going to make this video, but people want to know. So we're going to jump into the conversation, David Benavidez versus Jai Opetaia. And spoiler alert, there is a lot of you out there, boxing fans, boxing media, boxing channels, right? And the opinions out there regarding this fights and just in general on boxing are utterly ridiculous. And I will prove it in this video. So stay tuned. I got to put my trusted headset on, and we're going to hear what David Benavidez had to say post-fight after a phenomenal, and I mean phenomenal, performance against Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. Oh yeah, a guy who was a champion in a new weight class for Benavidez, cruiserweight. So this is the question about Jai, and here's what David Benavidez had to say. Let's go.
Jai Opetaia, how important is it for you to get a chance to fight him without all the red tape in the way?
I mean, I think that's the biggest fight in the world, especially at this weight division. You know, and that's definitely a fight I want. Like I said, I'm not scared of nobody. This is Monstro's world. And if he wants to get that fight, we get that fight. I don't know why he went to ZUFFA. We could have made this fight right after this one. You know, but now I don't know if he got stripped by the IBF or what it is. You know, I'm not going to go there fight for a ZUFFA title. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that would be a great fight to make in the future. And I mean, I respect Jai Opetaia a lot. He's a great fighter. And I think he has to come back over here to make these fights happen because, you know, we can't make no fights in ZUFFA.
So that's what I wanted to secondarily ask was that, do you feel like fighters are losing their power by going over to ZUFFA?
I think that, I mean, yeah, I think they definitely are losing their power. I mean, it's just a lot of politics in that. You know, I think Dana White has showed that he doesn't want to do fights with PBC, DAZN. And I don't want to even feel like, I don't want to sound like I'm disrespecting him, but that's just what it looks like from the outside. If we could come to an agreement and make a big fight, let's do it.
Well said, David Benavidez. Well said. Now it's time for Boxingego to get off in y'all pause, right? Now, for me, I'm going to be real. The whole conversation is utterly ridiculous. It is very apparent we don't have boxing fans. We have man fans, fans of a certain fighter, fans of a certain movement, right? And you got a lot of people who are questioning this. The real reality is, why are PBC fighters often and frequently held to this miraculously different standard? Let me explain. Don't shoot the messenger. What did Pac say? Don't get mad. I'm only being real. You know what I mean? Don't get mad at me. Let me explain. On my channel, I'm owed that. A chance to explain. David Benavidez is clearly the A-side over Jai Opetaia. In fact, I'll take it a step further. Who is Jai Opetaia or Jai or whatever? I don't even know his last name exactly. I heard people say Opetaia, and I heard people say Opetaia. So I'm not even really familiar with the correct enunciation of the man's name. And that's not no disrespect. I really don't know, right? Let's do a vote. I want you guys, without looking at my title, because my title will have the correct spelling, spell Jai Opetaia or Jai Opetaia or whatever his name is. Spell his name. That's it. Yeah. I didn't know you like to get wet though. Sherm, Dust, PCP, Primo, but that's what you had. And not like how you put a gun to your head, huh? Bro, I want, that's it. The challenge of this video, and do not cheat, because I know we're going to get some smart Alex in here and they're going to spell it correctly because they looked it up. Because you guys are corny. If you can't play the game how the game was intended, you're corny, right? That's it. If what I'm saying is such a lie, you shouldn't have to cheat. Now, I can't control if you cheat and look it up and go to Google and copy and paste his name. I can't. That's all I'm going to say. Spell the man's name. I can spell Muhammad Ali. I don't spell Muhammad Ali with an O. And some forms or connotations of the word Muhammad are the M-O, M-O, right? But I know specifically because he's the greatest. I'm too fast. I'm too pretty. Rumble, young man, rumble. Bro, Ali's a GOAT. He's like the greatest. So I know how to spell the man's name. Floyd Mayweather, I can spell his name. Manny Pacquiao, I can spell his name. I've never misspelled Manny Pacquiao's name. And Pacquiao has a name which is unique. It's not like a common name in America, right? He's from General Santo. I believe he's going to bite me. It's up to my promoter, Bob Adam. He showed me. I want to thank God, right? He don't have a common I'm American. He don't have a common American name, but I know how to spell it. And so on and so forth. Roy Jones Jr., I can definitely spell that. You understand me? That's what it takes sometimes. You take something from me, I'm coming to get it back. You beat me. I said, okay. We had a good night. I'm still coming to get it back. Call it in half. Right? I could spell all these fighters' names. You know why? Because they're legends. So even if you're from another land, another region, you have a foreign last name, if you're big enough, I could spell Klitschko, Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko, because they were so important in their run and dominant in the heavyweight division that you've seen their name come across so many times to the point where they became uber relevant. And so on. Lennox Lewis, I can spell these things. I don't know how to spell Jai Opetaia. It's just being real. Now, I get it. Some people are like, all right, stop being the Keela in the B. It's not a spelling bee. I get it. Let me move on. The point I'm making is the man is not the A side over David Benavidez at all. So back to what I said. I didn't forget. You may have, but I didn't. I've been doing this so many years. I'll be like Jay-Z. I'll be one taking my ish. I don't have no mess ups. I could talk for 30 minutes, an hour, no mess ups. No pauses, no interrupt. The only time I pause is when I say something suspect. That's a bar. David Benavidez, A-side, fact. Point blank, period. He is the A-side over this man. He just went up to cruiserweight from light heavyweight, 175, and beat the guy that Jai Opetaia wanted to fight. That's a fact. You could say, oh, ZURDO wasn't this, ZURDO wasn't that. He was a bum. He wasn't a good fighter. Why did Jai Opetaia want to fight him? You still got to respect the fact that he was ranked because he was a champion. So no matter what you said, and for me, Jai Opetaia looked like he got cool size to him, and he's been fighting at cruiserweight. We know he has power. So it is more impressive to watch a guy from 175 move up to 200 pounds and do what David Benavidez did to Gilberto ZURDO Ramirez. Let me pull it up. Ah, yes. Here we are. Hold that. Hold that. Hold that. What are we talking about, people? Let me show y'all again. Hold that. Don't get up. It's over. Bow, bow, bow. Bro, how do you even defend against that? Shout out to my boy Benavidez. Like, what do you do when a person it just lacing you like bro, punch the man's whole eye in, right? Shout out my dude. He said that boy different. Bruh was getting mixed, right? So the bottom line is Benavidez is the man right now, right? Y'all talking about Jai Opetaia. So back to my initial point with PBC. Since when does the non-A-side fighter take precedence and then they get to call the shots? So Benavidez is absolutely right. Even though he's not been the permanent resident at the division at cruiserweight, it don't matter. He's the bigger guy in terms of star power. He may not be the bigger size guy, but he's a bigger star, right? And boxing has always worked like that. If Miguel Cotto, if and when Miguel Cotto moved up to fight Maravilla, Sergio Martinez, go look at the poster. It said Cotto versus Martinez. Cotto wasn't the champion at 154. He wasn't the champion at 160 or wherever they fought. Martinez was. However, Cotto was the bigger name. Cotto was the bigger star. So he got preferential star treatment. That's how that works, right? Usually, if you know anything about boxing, the bigger A-side fighter is usually, because the human eye typically, unless you're a serial killer or something, you're reading from left to right. So primarily, when graphic designers are building these fight posters, the bigger person will be and appear on the left, as you see here. Cotto Martinez. The bigger name typically comes first, right? And you can go look at any fight poster that you want where the perceived bigger name, right, typically appears on the left side, right? We know Floyd, like I said before, Jake Paul, he's not on my level, right? Floyd Money Mayweather, he was A-side over Canelo. Boom. You see it. Floyd on the left, the one. Canelo, who wasn't bigger than Floyd, still isn't. You know what I mean? He's on the right. So back to my initial point. Why the heck would Jai Opetaia get the preferential treatment? Like, why would David Benavidez have to go to him on ZUFFA Boxing? Like Benavidez said, I'm down to fight him. We could have fought after this fight. I don't know why he signed with ZUFFA Boxing.
We could have made this fight right after this one, you know, but now I don't know if he got stripped by the IBF or what it is. You know, I'm not going to go there fight for a ZUFFA title, but
I'm not going to. So you guys have been bamboozled. You got TKO that took over and came out with the ZUFFA Boxing and Dana White, and they're talking a good game. They really haven't done nothing in boxing. So Benavidez, the A side, is absolutely right. Why on earth would he have to do anything different? Why would he have to go to ZUFFA? You need to come see me. And the funny thing is, he also said now that he's over there, it just made it harder. He is right. Here's why. Oscar De La Hoya of Golden Boy, at a period of time, him and PBC, Al Heyman, weren't seeing eye to eye. To make ZURDO Ramirez a Golden Boy fighter, and David Benavidez, the fight we seen over the weekend, they worked together on that fight. And it was a great card by them working together. So they joined forces, let bygones be bygones. You know who's on their own island? Turkey, Ring, and ZUFFA, right? Particularly Dana White and ZUFFA. Dana White came out, I don't really want to work and recognize the other sanctioning bodies. It's like taking candy from a baby or beating up babies being in here. These promoters suck, right? Talk from Dana White, but he has yet to produce a card that was better than the PBC card with David Benavidez ZURDO. Matter of fact, his fighters are like Jai Opetaia, hardcore rapper, but he's glossy. They're still fighting in the Apex, which holds 1,100 people. Benavidez fought in the T-Mobile Arena, which is a fairly new venue in Vegas, and the crowd was lit. So you got this New Zealander, or wherever he's from, I'm pretty sure New Zealand, and Jai Opetaia, and people are trying to make it like he gets to call the shots. Yet again, the man just fought on a ZUFFA card after signing. This is who he fought. Brandon Glanton, who was ranked number 15. So how does this work where a guy comes from 175, challenges himself, puts on 25 pounds, trains his butt off, has that type of performance, and then Jai Opetaia is fighting a number 15 person, not a champion on ZUFFA, and he's winning via decision. So what is really setting the world on fire? A guy doing the Honda 100 hand slaps, getting a stoppage in his first fight at cruiserweight on Amazon Prime and DAZN, right? In front of a raucous Las Vegas lit crowd on Cinco de Mayo weekend with a ton of Latino flavor and, you know, a beautiful crowd out. Or ZUFFA, and he fighting a number 15 guy who's already been beaten before, going the distance with him, fighting in front of 1,100 people in the UFC Apex, and then not even getting a knockout. You tell me what's more impressive. So as far as I'm concerned, you got people pushing propaganda. Benavidez has options. He could go back to 175. I have no problem with that, right? I want to see this man fight Bivol or Beterbiev. Those are, to be honest, those are definitely difficult fights and bigger fights than Jai Opetaia. So again, Jai just fought a former football player who had 3 losses. And to be honest, the biggest takeaway is like, all right, this dude got a chin. He pretty tough. You know what I mean? But you're fighting a number 15 ranked person, right? He was one fight and he lost to Marcus Brown. You see that right there? And he lost to Chris Billiam Smith, who ZURDO Ramirez beat, right? So he was one fight removed from losing to this guy who's also signed to ZUFFA Boxing, who Gilberto Ramirez just beat in the division, right? You see, 2 losses. And I can assure you, in 2024, the guy that Benavidez just beat, Gilberto Ramirez, just beat the guy. Look, I'm showing you. And he did it in Riyadh season. So he did it in Saudi Arabia. So all the ring personnel, they should have seen it because it was a Riyadh season. They love it so much. So look, ZURDO already beat this guy. And then now nobody has stopped ZURDO Ramirez until David Benavidez. And that was his first fight at cruiserweight. So before we start these fake narratives about, oh, Benavidez is ducking or he needs to fight Jai Opetaia, how come y'all don't do this to Canelo? Canelo talking about fighting Mbili. A bigger fight was him and Benavidez. Why he's still talking about fighting Mbili? Who asked for that? You know what I mean? So this is how fake people in boxing are. When it's a guy like Canelo, you guys just recognize, oh, he's the A side. Oh, Canelo gets to call the shots because he's the A side. Remember Benavidez? Let me take this off. Remember when Benavidez was the B side, Canelo's the A side, and Benavidez, the B side, kept calling him out. Like, fight me, fight me. Canelo never fought him. right? And the silly Cinnabons, all they said was like, oh, Benavidez got to earn his keep and build his brand up, and Canelo doesn't have to fight him. He's an A-side. Canelo decides. But now I just proved throughout the entirety of this show that Benavidez is absolutely the A-side over Jai Opetaia, who I know you guys can't spell his name, right? And now A-side rules don't matter. I don't care about all that. Just make the fight. You guys are clowns. So yeah, I'm not even really amped up over the fight. Like, yo, why did this man go to ZUFFA Boxing? And when are you going to start holding the fighters accountable for the decisions that they make? You went over to a new outfit that is unproven, right? In ZUFFA, headlined by Dana White. Dana White ain't got no real pull in boxing, you know, in terms of like the fans is like all messing with him and rallying behind him. In fact, I'm going to take it a step further. And for the remainder of the video, let's talk about the company that owns ZUFFA Boxing, that took over UFC, WWE, and came out with ZUFFA Boxing, shall we? So right now, in current combat sports news, there is a ruckus because I'll start here. UFC owner Ari Emanuel is the third highest paid CEO in the entertainment sector. He made $67 million last year, right? Behind the Warner Brothers guy and whatever from Comcast. The CEO, Hollywood Reporter, right? So this guy, Ari Emanuel, right here, is top 3 highest paid CEOs, right? And some people are like, all right, Ego, get to the point. What does that have to do with anything? The reason is that people are up in arms is because in the wrestling world, the same company is talking about releasing WWE wrestlers. There may be more WWE releases coming up, right? We'll keep it going. And I want you guys to, and this is why I make these videos, to empower you so you understand what's going on. You're not just hearing it from someone else. Have to pay, same risk. WWE's dangerous gamble. If the WWE has been as successful as ever, why are the talent being asked to take less? Something doesn't add up. So right now in the world of wrestling, look, so this is me. I posted this. Look at in California, the gas prices. Let me know your gas prices where you live. So the gas prices in California right now, this is me filling up. I don't even get on E. I never take the car to E. So I had a quarter of a tank. It cost me like $60 to fill up, right? Because gas is $5.75 and for premium is $6.20, right? As you see. So fans are growing weary. Look, TKO will be the end of the WWE, right? Let's keep going. I want you guys to see this. Well, night 1 of commercial mania. I'm not even gonna read all that. WWE is becoming the UFC when it comes to salaries and pay cuts. Unfortunately, TKO was always going to do this. It's only going to get worse from here. So you have groups of fans who are all outraged saying TKO is going to be the death of the WWE and the death of the UFC, right? TKO thinks they can lowball wrestlers like they do with the UFC fighters. This is their exact game plan by writing off and releasing the veterans on big contracts, filling those spots with younger, cheaper talent. What they don't get is wrestling doesn't work like the UFC, and neither does boxing. I'm so sorry, TKO. I get it now, right? Again, reports showing the guys that work with TKO, right? They're all getting paid. They went from 2024, $18 million to now they're making even more money. So they're not risking their bodies like the wrestlers. Look, TKO CEO, I've already went over him. TKO president. All these are this Maury Povich looking, you are not the father looking at, right? Nick Khan, who was like, oh yeah, come on, change the Muhammad Ali Act. These guys are the ones getting millions of dollars, 23 million salary, 43, $67 million. So the man went from $18 million salary to last year, he up to 67 mil. This dude went from 32 mil to 43 mil. So this guy went from 6 mil to 4 times that amount. Look, 6 mil to 24 is 4 times the amount, right? Nick Khan. So while the big wigs in the leadership, they're getting paid, they're asking the wrestlers to take pay cuts, right? You know TKO is doing ish wrong when random fan, I'm not reading all that. I'm trying to get to the good stuff for y'all. TKO Group will report Q1 earnings on Wednesday. Analysts predict 1.59 billion for the quarter, an increase of 25. So if they have an increase of financial revenue, how come you're asking the fighters to take a pay cut? Look, TKO is going around asking the WWE talent to take pay cuts, some people as high as 50%. That is actually insane. No wonder whoever Kofi, I don't watch wrestling now, so I don't know half of these dudes. And whoever left, they're really trying to turn WWE contracts into something closer to UFC deals, right? So these people right here, they out here winning. While the actual UFC fighters sacrifice their body, get cauliflower ear, rubbing around and rolling around on the mat, right? Get kicked in the head, punched in the head, eye pokes, get destroyed, get humiliated and knocked out. These wrestlers jumping off of ladders, getting hit with steel chairs, bop, right? Entertaining millions. And some of them are being asked to take a pay cut of upwards of 45%. So some people, they're saying take 50%. And reportedly, there's some big names in there too, that like big fighters who are on big contracts, and they might be going to AEW or elsewhere, according to speculation, we'll say, right? And I always show my work. TKO versus Roman Reigns. TKO pushing to cut Roman Reigns' base salary, believing his pay is too high for the limited number of appearances. Reigns currently on a $15 million contract for the amount of dates he works. TKO reportedly demanding more TV appearances, clashing with Reigns' part-time attraction style. With no agreement reached, Roman Reigns is reported to be, or rumored to be, leaving the WWE, potentially ending an era, right? So right now they have him on contract where you make X amount of appearances and you get $15 million. The big wigs is like, no, you either gotta do more and like pull up more, spend less time with your family, pull up more, or we gotta cut your pay by $15 million or half of your pay. This is the company that these fighters are going to, because it's all under the Turkey, Saudi, TKO umbrella. This is what you guys, with the Muhammad Ali Reform Act amendment, this is what you guys were like, oh, this is good. This change is needed. So don't tell me nothing about it. Benavidez is a bankable star right now. He's on pay-per-view. Jai Opetaia is not on pay-per-view. Jai Opetaia is fighting in front of a chow hall or a bingo level crowd. There's a place out here that got bingo and it's pretty big. And it has about the same amount of people as the UFC Apex, no cap, right? So you're performing in an auditorium level like a high school auditorium, a bigger high school in Texas or something, level crowd, and then you get to call the shots, and then I can't be stopped, bro. I make the most sense. You guys don't. You also have a different dynamic. The same company, TKO and ZUFFA Boxing, that is trying to change everything, they've already made it abundantly clear they are moving away from the sanctioning bodies, right? Dana White announced plans to move away from the big four sanctioning bodies going forward. There's going to be a ZUFFA belt and a ring belt. I will not recognize any of the other sanctioning bodies, right? Dana White, he's no longer interested in the IBF belt, WBC belt. They've waged wars. Dana White says he will not recognize blah, 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 right? So they're saying we're getting rid of the various weight classes and we're not ranking and recognizing the big four sanctioning bodies, right? We got our own belt. So the whole argument that the Jai Opetaia fans are making is like, oh, Jai's a champion and Benavidez is a champion now, so they should inherently fight. But he just got stripped of the IBF and now he has a ZUFFA belt. Bro, he got a ZUFFA belt. And even if he still had the IBF belt, what's the point? You can't have it both ways. You can't say that these belts don't matter, but then use it as a catalyst to make the fight when you just said the belts didn't matter. You hear what I'm saying? If the belts don't matter and the only belts that matter is ZUFFA and ring, then do it all on your own. But what you can't do is say I'm ostracizing all of these sanctioning bodies that have been here in boxing, WBA, IBF, WBO, WBC. I don't care about the big four. But then the fans are like, Benavidez just beat ZURDO, a champion. He needs to fight another champion in Jai Opetaia. It don't work like that. Jai Opetaia is only a champion in their ranking system. So let them be over there and keep fighting Brandon Glantons and people like that. So, and as I mentioned earlier, Benavidez got plenty of options. When you're the A side, you got more options. He can fight Bivol, Beterbiev. If they playing around, I'm sure they'll find somebody else for him to fight. He can fight that Russian dude that David Morrell fought at 75. You know what I mean? They'll figure it out. When you got a star, it's your job to figure it out. But you can't play both sides of the fence. You can't say we don't care about the sanctioning bodies, but then use it as like, hey, we need to make this fight because they're both champions. So are you recognizing and observing the belt, or are you not doing it, right? So Benavidez was cooking. I know I cooked in terms of Jai Opetaia going over there made it politically harder to get that fight cracking. He's like, I respect him, but I'm not going over there to fight for no ZUFFA belt. That's not what makes me tick. There's pictures of Benavidez with 4 WBC belts on him. He got a good relationship. Why should he just change up? He the product. He the A side. Why he got to change? So yeah, it's really Jai Opetaia's fault, because here's what's happening. You have a shift, a new entry into the boxing world, and they're trying to shift things around, and then they came in disrespecting things that are already been established, and now everybody got to fall in line. No. It don't work like that. You keep fighting in the apex, you build your own fighters and make them hot. Because to be honest, I ain't watched one ZUFFA boxing show. I've only seen highlights online. I promise you, they're signing guys like Chris Billiam Smith and a 40-year-old Sergey Deryevchenko. I've already seen the best of Deryevchenko when he was fighting Charlo and Danny Jacobs and Triple G, right? Even the Mbili fight. So I've already seen him on DAZN, PBC, and Top Rank. You're just now getting him when he's coming directly off an injury and a loss. I don't care. No disrespect to Deryevchenko. He's had some good moments. But I don't care. I don't need to watch him. Why I need to watch a 40-year-old coming off an injury and a loss when it don't really make no never mind. Meanwhile, the guy who beat him just fought on David Benavidez's card, Jaime Munguia, and looked spectacular. So when we're talking about boxing, these people don't get it. These TKO, ZUFFA people, they don't get it. Boxing, you could try to sterilize it and do this and that and make them wear uniforms and outfits. This is not what the crowd wants. People want to see action. People want to see personality. They want to see ring walks. You're trying to make your own like private school of boxing, and it don't really seem to be working. In fact, the same people, ever since they got involved with the WWE, as I mentioned, people are complaining about that. As they got involved with the UFC, look at the Paramount era. They ain't had one fight bigger than Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz. One or two. Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov. Anderson Silva and Chris Weidman, right? They don't have no fights that have been bigger than that, especially financially. I've looked at the numbers, right? Where they're doing fights in Florida, and it was the lowest selling pay-per-view in Florida. So you guys don't understand. And then on top of that, the people at TKO at the top, all of a sudden they getting a bump up in pay, but then the UFC fighters ain't got no brand deals, complaining about money, complaining about Conor Ben's boxing check, right? Not getting any endorsements. They took that away, so they can't wear the patches of their own choosing, as you should so choose on your own, garb. The WWE wrestlers, ever since the TKO umbrella, right? They're being asked, some of them being asked to cut 50% of your pay or being driven out. This is what companies do when they restructure and then people take over. In fact, I'll put it like this. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new. But even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate, so ultimately you can realize all of your online goals. Use my affiliate link in the description and grow your channel fast. Have you ever seen a product that you love or a restaurant that you love that got new ownership for any reason, and then miraculously it was way better than the product you initially fell in love with? Think about it. And if you have, let me know what that restaurant or product was, where they got bought out by some kind of bigger company or whatever, and the changes that they implemented made it better. Like, for example, I would get this bread, right? Some of you guys have probably had it. I don't know. But I'm going to pull it up on the screen. This bread right here, right? What the heck? Dave's Killer Bread, right? Some of you may have heard of it. I used to get this bread. I didn't have a problem with the bread. It was good, right? It was a bread that when I was getting the bread, it was in the refrigeration section, the refrigerator section, right? meaning it was like a healthy option. It was a very perishable. They use certain ingredients, right? But if you notice that same bread after this acquisition by whatever company, apparently Flowers Foods bought the bread out, right? Or whatever company just recently bought them, right? After this point, now the bread is no longer, it's in the shelf stable section. It's no longer in the refrigeration section. You know what I mean? And I can think of several examples of this where there's a food product and they got bought out and then they started to change the ingredients. They started to change, like, because now it's corporate. So we're not going to use these high ingredients y'all were using. Our new formula, we're trying to mass produce and get more bottles out and still utilize the name, right? Whilst changing the ingredient. And I know you guys have experienced that with products where you had it and it was great while it was great, but then over time you're like, this ain't the same restaurant. The burgers don't taste like they used to, or this sauce tastes different. I'll give you guys another one. If you guys have ever known of this hot sauce, Cholula, right? Following a pandemic acquisition by McCormick, users and critics have reported a formula change for the Cholula hot sauce. Reports indicate a shift from traditional ingredients to different acids, increased water, natural flavors, leading to a thinner consistency, sharper, less complex test. So again, the moral of the story, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. People didn't have it. They liked the hot sauce how it was. In the pandemic, the company sold and corporate greed got in the way and they started changing the formula and now it's trash and people don't like it. And then now they're going to go get a new hot sauce. TKO, they had an acquisition over the UFC, came out with ZUFFA Boxing, and WWE, same deal. Now wrestling fans are like, hey, it was better when Vince had it, when Vince McMahon was in charge. Or I like the wrestling of the 90s. Now they're pushing out wrestlers, asking for pay cuts. Come on, bro. And these are the people y'all said were taking over boxing. This is who David Benavidez, y'all telling me he should shift everything he's doing and what he's worked for as the A side to try to make a fight with this dude who ran over. Because here's the thing, and I'm not here to beat around no bush. A lot of the fighters that are going to ZUFFA is because currently ZUFFA is almost in that startup in boxing. They're in the startup mode. So fighters are getting bigger deals right now to lure the attraction. And Edgar Berlanga, Hitchens, they're probably getting amount no other reasonable promoter is willing to give them because they're not that level of attraction, or Jai Opetaia. So what happens is the early newcomers, Conor Benn, Jai Opetaia, Hitchens, Berlanga, they get these contracts and then they're going to try to lure Devin Haney or Shakur or whoever over as like the initial group. And then once they get that going, over the course of several years or a year, I don't know how long it'll take, all of that stuff is going to be dried up. And then now people are going to go over expecting the same deal, but that deal is over. It's already been patched up. They ain't offering that no more. You seen it with Riyadh season. There was a point in time they were offering these crazy, like Shakur getting the amount that he ain't probably had before to fight Joe Cordinas, to fight Josh Padley. Cool. Get it while you can. Because after that point, when they got people locked in and you're under a slave contract, that's when they're like, all right, the people at the top got to eat. And again, they're not risking their body. Them CEOs and SVPs, they're not risking their body. They're not taking punches, kicks to the face, steel chairs like the people in the UFC, boxing, or wrestling. They're just people in suits. that graduated or got the right tax breaks, got the right connections, voted for the right person, that would give them more of these breaks and incentivize them as business. So they whipping these combat people's butts with brains over brawn. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't think David Benavidez should even worry about fighting Jai Opetaia because there's too many politics. And then you got to worry about this. What if you did do business with them and they want to star so bad, you don't know what lengths people will go to like, what if it's a close fight? What if a person get knocked down and then you overly score it crazy, and then now we're like, yeah, the ZUFFA belt. Now it looks like the ZUFFA belt, if Jai were to be, and I'm not saying it's a prediction, but if he were to beat a guy like Benavidez, now it looks like he's a man. Bro, don't do that. It's like kind of what Errol Spence did with Terrence Crawford. Sometimes you got to let people be. Terrence Crawford, he was demanding too much, and he really didn't have a leg to stand on. But Errol, being generous, gave Terrence Crawford, he really gave him his career. Now, I know he had already accomplished stuff before, but 2023 is where things kind of changed for Terrence Crawford. He was fighting Mean Machines and Postal and beating guys like that. Nobody really cared. But when he beat Errol Spence, he had a parade. When he beat Canelo, he had a parade. I don't think he had a big parade. And even if he did, it wasn't advertised like that when he beat Mean Machine. You know what I mean? So these fighters got to smarten up. And Benavidez, he seems smart. Stick to your laurels, because sometimes you got to wait things out. The grass ain't always greener on the other side. We unpacked.